Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today all about the GMAT.
The GMAT?
Yeah, if you're thinking about applying to business school anytime soon, you're going to want to pay attention.
Absolutely.
We've got some great info here pulled from whatisgmat.pdf,
Yeah, this is going to be good.
especially if you're, aiming for those top-tier MBA programs.
Right. The GMAT, it's not just about, checking boxes anymore.
Oh, really?
It's really become a measure of how you think critically and solve problems, and not just, what facts and formulas you've memorized.
So not just memorizing formulas then?
Exactly. It's about showing those admissions committees that you can think on your feet and adapt to new situations, just like you'll need to do in the real world.
Makes sense.
Think about it. The business world today is all about data strategy and persuasion.
Right.
And the GMAT is designed to test those exact skills.
Interesting, and our source mentions that the GMAT costs USD 275 in India in 2025.
Okay.
But it's accepted by over 2,300 business schools worldwide. So
Wow.
it's a pretty universal in it.
It is.
If you get a good score.
To really understand why the GMAT matters, we should take a closer look at how it's structured.
Okay.
The test has 4 sections, each designed to gauge a specific set of skills.
Right. The analytical rating assessment, integrated reasoning, quantitative, and verbal sections.
Yeah.
It's pretty comprehensive.
It is. And it's not just about covering a lot of ground, but about really going deep. For example, the integrated reasoning section.
Oh, yeah.
It's not your typical math or reading test. It presents data from multiple sources, like charts, graphs, text,
Okay.
just like you'd find in a real business scenario.
Oh, I see. So it's testing your ability to synthesize information from different sources.
Exactly.
And then draw meaningful conclusions, not just, doing calculations or reading a passage in isolation.
You got it.
Sounds like they're trying to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah, and then there's the quantitative section, which I know can be a bit intimidating for some.
Well, for some of us anyway. I'm more of a words person myself.
Sure, but what's interesting about the quantitative section is that it's adaptive.
Adaptive?
Yeah, the difficulty of the questions adjusts based on how well you're doing.
Oh, wow.
So you really have to be on your toes and think strategically throughout the whole section.
So it's not just about knowing the math, but about knowing when to push forward,
Right.
when to double check, and how to manage your time effectively.
Exactly. It's like a mental chess match
I like that. Mental chess match.
against the clock. And then, of course, there's the verbal section, which is all about communication.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, a brilliant business idea is worthless if you can't articulate it effectively.
So true. And our source really emphasizes that clear communication is essential in the business world.
It is.
Whether you're pitching to investors, leading a team, negotiating a deal,
It's the key.
you need to be able to get your point across.
And that's exactly what the verbal section assesses. It tests your ability to understand complex written material, spot logical fallacies.
And express your ideas clearly and persuasively.
This is where I think a lot of people might struggle.
Yeah.
Our source lists 6 common challenges that test takers face with the GMAT.
Okay, let's hear them.
They are time management, a weak math foundation underestimating the verbal section, an inconsistent study schedule difficulty with that integrated reasoning section, and drumroll test anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
That last one I can definitely relate to.
These anxiety is a real thing. But the good news is that these challenges,
Okay.
while common, are not insurmountable.
So there's hope for us anxious test takers.
Absolutely, there is. What I find really helpful is that our source doesn't just list these challenges,
Right.
but also provides practical solutions for each one.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. For instance, if time management is an issue, they suggest practicing with timed questions
Okay.
to develop that internal clock. Or if math is your weak spot, well, you can brush up on those fundamentals.
Right.
And for test anxiety relaxation techniques and simulating test conditions can make a big difference. Okay, so let's dig into these solutions a little bit more because, let's be honest, everyone wants to know the secret sauce
The secret sauce.
to conquering the GMAT. What are some of the most effective strategies people can use to tackle these challenges?
Well, it's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't show up on race day without putting in the miles, right?
I guess not.
GMAT prep.
Mhm.
It's the same idea. You need a dedicated strategic approach. And our source outlines 13 tips for success
13 tips.
in 2025. The biggest takeaway.
Okay.
Start early, plan ahead.
So no cramming the night before.
No, definitely not. At
Yeah.
least 3 months of focused study time.
3 months.
That's what's recommended.
Okay, so you have enough time to really cover all the sections.
Right.
Work through practice questions, figure out your strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. You want to give yourself enough time to really absorb the material and develop those test-taking skills.
And speaking of practice questions,
Yeah.
our source talks a lot about taking practice tests.
They're crucial.
Okay, so where do those fit into all of this?
Well, think of practice tests like dress rehearsals for the big show.
Okay.
By taking them regularly, you become familiar with the GMAT format.
Mm-hmm.
You can refine your pacing and figure out which areas you need to focus your study efforts on.
It's like getting personalized feedback from the GMAT itself.
Exactly. And speaking of personalized feedback,
Yes.
our source also strongly recommends using official GMAT materials.
Official materials. Is that really necessary?
I would say it's highly recommended. The official materials offer the most authentic representation of the actual exam.
So you're saying they give you a real feel for what to expect?
Exactly. You'll be working with real GMAT questions using the same interface and getting a true sense of the difficulty level.
Okay, so official materials for the win.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, what about time management?
Time management.
That always seems to be a major pain point for a lot of test takers. Any pro tips there?
Absolutely. One of the best things you can do is simulate real test conditions during your practice sessions.
Yeah, okay.
No distractions, strict timing, the whole 9 yards.
So like no checking your phone every 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful.
It helps you build mental stamina,
Yeah.
reduces anxiety on test day, and ensures that you can perform under pressure.
It's like game day for your brain.
Exactly. You want to be ready for anything.
Speaking of game day,
Yeah.
our source mentions some pretty interesting GMAT statistics. For example, the average score is 561.
That's right.
But if you're aiming for those top business school,
The elite programs.
you'll likely need a score in the 700s.
Yeah, the competition is fierce.
Intimidating.
A high GMAT score can really make your application stand out.
Yeah, our source says that 90% of applicants to top MBA programs have scores above 650.
That's a high bar.
That's a high bar indeed. But here's the good news. Studies show that putting in 50-plus hours
50 plus.
of dedicated prep can lead to a significant score increase.
That's encouraging.
Sometimes as much as 50 to 100 points.
Wow, that's significant.
So it really does pay to put in the effort.
It does. And remember, preparation isn't just about memorizing formulas and facts.
That's right.
It's about developing a deep understanding of the concepts, mastering test-taking strategies, and building confidence in your abilities.
It's like a holistic approach to test prep.
Exactly. Mind, body, and GMAT.
I like that. So let's talk tools.
Oh.
Our source highlights some essential resources for GMAT prep. They recommend the official GMAT prep software,
Okay.
reputable prep books and online classes, or tutors for personalized guidance.
Those are all great resources.
What are your thoughts on these?
Well, I think they each have their own strengths.
Yeah.
The official software offers authentic questions and feedback,
Uh-huh.
while prep books provide more in-depth explanations and practice sets.
Okay.
And for those who prefer a more structured or personalized approach,
Yeah.
online classes or tutors can offer tailored support and guidance.
So it's like having a toolbox
A toolbox.
filled with different instruments, each designed for a specific task.
I like that analogy. And choosing the right tools depends on your individual learning style,
Yeah.
your strengths and weaknesses, and your overall study plan.
Makes sense. Now, so far, we've talked about the challenges, the solutions, the tools, but what about the human element?
The human element.
You know, the real people behind the numbers.
Right.
Our source includes some pretty inspiring success stories from students who used a test prep company called LetzStudy to achieve their GMAT goals.
Ooh, LetzStudy. I've heard good things about them.
Let's dive into those stories. I think they provide a really valuable perspective on the GMAT journey.
I agree. They remind us that behind all the statistics and strategies are real people with aspirations and anxieties, triumphs and setbacks.
Exactly. These aren't just numbers. They're individuals who navigated the GMAT landscape and came out on top.
And hopefully inspired others along the way.
The first story features G. Rakesh, who, with LetzStudy's help, went from feeling lost and overwhelmed to scoring a remarkable 730.
Wow, 730.
And securing admission to Harvard Business School.
That's impressive.
It really is, and what's noteworthy about G. Rakesh's story is how LetzStudy helped him personalize his study plan, target his weak areas, and build the confidence he needed to excel.
So it was really about providing that individualized support and guidance.
Exactly. They helped him create a roadmap for success.
Love it.
Then there's Vishnu NV, a busy professional who managed to juggle work and GMAT prep,
Balancing act.
ultimately achieving a score of 700 and getting accepted to Inseed, his dream school.
Inseed, another top program.
How did he do it?
Well, LetzStudy helped him create a flexible study plan that fit into his demanding schedule.
Okay.
They provided him with high-quality practice materials and effective test-taking strategies, essentially helping him maximize his study time and make every minute count.
So it was all about efficiency and making the most of his limited time.
Precisely, they helped him work smarter, not harder.
And finally, we have the story of Bhumika S., who initially faced setbacks with low scores and felt discouraged about her chances of studying abroad.
I can imagine that would be disheartening.
But with LetzStudy's guidance, she turned things around, scoring a 690 and securing admission to the Rotterdam School of Management with financial aid.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
A true testament to perseverance and the right support system.
Absolutely. Bhumika's story is particularly inspiring because it shows that it's never too late to improve.
Right.
LetzStudy helped her identify the flaws in her approach, strengthen her data comprehension and verbal reasoning skills,
Those are key.
and ultimately achieve a score that opened doors to her dream program.
It's amazing what you can accomplish when you have the right guidance and support.
I mean, these stories are really inspiring.
Yeah. You know what I think is so great about them?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they really highlight how, with the right mindset and support, anyone can achieve their GMAT goals,
Totally.
no matter what challenges they might be facing.
Yeah, it's more than just the score, isn't it?
It is.
It's about developing valuable skills and resilience along the way.
Absolutely.
Qualities that will serve you well, not just in business school,
Right.
but throughout your entire career.
I think the GMAT is kind of like a microcosm of the business world itself.
Oh, has.
Well, you're constantly faced with complex challenges. You have limited time. You need to think strategically and make good decisions under pressure.
So it's like boot camp for your brain.
Exactly. And those critical thinking, problem solving, and communication skills,
Yeah.
those are essential for success in any business environment.
Absolutely. And our source points out that these skills are becoming even more in demand
They are.
as the business landscape continues to evolve.
That's right. The ability to analyze data, think critically, and communicate effectively.
Right.
Those are absolutely essential in today's world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the GMAT,
Yes.
what's the one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
You know, I would say think of the GMAT as a stepping stone to your future.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to invest in yourself, develop these valuable skills, and really showcase your readiness for the challenges of business school and beyond.
I love that. Approach it with a growth mindset. Embrace the challenge. And remember, success is not just about the destination, but about the journey itself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
As you start prepping for the GMAT, think about how you can use this experience for personal growth.
Interesting.
What new skills or mindsets can you develop that will help you not just with the GMAT, but throughout your career?
I like that a lot.
The GMAT is definitely a challenge, but it's also a chance to really unlock your potential and shape your future. So best of luck on your GMAT journey, everyone.
Best of luck.